Hello, welcome. My name is Grace, and if you have clicked on this video for whatever reason, hi. um, I basically made this to talk about books because none of my friends talk about books. It's a problem, and I have so many opinions. We're gonna do quick introduction section where I have currently questions listed on my laptop over there, and I'm just going to answer them so you can kind of get to know me. My favourite book is Little Women, which is a pretty well known book, but if you haven't read it, go read it right now. What are you doing? I've gotten so many people on this book. The first time I read it was 2022, I want to say, and it's and ironically enough, with Little Women, I'm usually a book first before movie, but I saw the movie in 2019 when it was released. Oh my goodness. And I didn't understand the movie overly well until I read the book, and then I read Good Wives, and then I went back and watched the movie, and it was just like, oh my goodness, the differences in Little Women and Good Wives on screen. Wild. Because it's both in the same movie, but the storylines are kind of split. I would say my favorite book is Little Woman because of the fact that you see yourself in literally every character. So I am personally more of a Beth Jo combo, which is kind of ironic because you would think that they're not that similar, but you can be both stubborn and a little bit quieter, which is, I'd say, how I would describe myself. My favorite book series, I would say currently, I have a couple. So my favorite genres are fantasy, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I would say the Zodiac Academy is very much like Harry Potter meets Gossip Girl meets Pretty Little Liars, like Vampire Diaries, that kind of vibe. It's about two twin sisters who are human and then get whisked into this world, and they are promised an inheritance, but only if they graduate. And the problem lies in four very powerful, annoying men, and we go from there. And it's a great storyline. In fairness, I'm only on book 3, so we'll see if it's still a favorite series of mine once I finish it. Another one is probably the Eternal Path trilogy, which is, there's only one book out, but I could see it being a favorite series of mine because I rated the one book 5 stars. I would have rated it 6 if I could. And it is all about this kind of democracy where the recent not president but leader has ended his term, and representatives from all 10 clans, which are the Tiger Clan and the Lion Clan and the Raven Clan, all come together to go into trials, participate in trials to become the next leader of this democracy. Until there's a murder, and our protagonist, Nima, I think is her name, has to go and solve it. So, yeah. I would say, what else? The Thursday Murder Club, incredible series. It's about 4 old pensioners, and they get together every Thursday night to solve cold cases. And then they somehow get themselves roped into real ones. Except, gorge. Anyway, back to the favorite genre thing. My favorite genres are currently fantasy. Romance is a big one. Romantasy, although I guess it's a subgenre. I quite like mystery, but I've realized more and more that I am a cozy mystery rather than a horror mystery. But I do like thrillers at the same time, so it kind of just depends on what mood I am in. I'm trying to expand more into non-fiction, I guess, and classics, because I feel like those departments are lacking in the book literature world. In saying that, I have been stuck on the same book, like Wuthering Heights. I watched the movie first, then read the book, but I'm I don't know, 15 chapters in. It I'm not that far in. So we're gonna progress somehow. And I also try and read a non-fiction a month. So I think next month, which is June, I will be reading I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. I've heard wonderful things about it. Well, I won't be reading, I will be listening to it, which is the audiobook, which is unusual, but I do like listening to like non-fiction audiobooks more than I like reading them physically or like on Kindle or something. What book got me into reading? Ooh, this is an interesting question because there's technically two answers. I would say originally, what book did get me into reading? I don't know if it was a book necessarily that got me into reading because my parents took me to the library all of the time, literally all of the time. So I like started off really, really young, loving reading. It was like my escape. Like I was the biggest Harry Potter fan in the world. I was gonna say still am, still love the world. I loved like Winnie the Pooh from like a really young age. I had like a massive like life size Winnie the Pooh on my bed for years, for years. Um, and then I kind of grew up a little bit more. And when I got to like the age of 12 and was getting more academically serious and stressed and whatever, reading very much was not a priority because when I was growing up, social media wasn't a massive thing. So all of my time was spent like reading or outside or whatever. Ironic, I know, because that's literally what I'm getting back into as someone who's not in their 20s. But yeah, I would say like my first answer from like a young age wasn't so much a specific book. It was just more the habit of going to libraries and picking out like 8 books and then having all of this time all of the week to read. But I really liked Enid Blyton when I was younger, like the Twins Sinclair, Mallory Towers. I really liked Schools, so like I also read, what else did I read? Trebizond, which is inviting me about, and I can't remember who it's by. Great series. So I was really into Rodin Schools. Enid Blyton's works, like I love Wishing Chair and the Enchanted like Faraway series and like the Family series, and yeah, all of those books kind of combined made like reading really enjoyable for me when I was younger. And then I picked reading back up in 2022, I want to say. Like I had read odd books throughout the years in terms of like seeing a book and being like, oh, this is really good. Because I still bought books, I just didn't read them. So like I read Wonder in like 2017, randomly, and Frank around that time as well. And then 2022, I started getting into it more regularly again. So I think my first one was A Quarter Thousand Reasons, which took me months to get through. Um, and then I read the second one, and I was like, oh, we're so back. And from there, I have just been slowly getting more and more hooked on books again. And I know that's kind of cliche to like start with like A Quarter Thousand Reasons. I feel like everyone in their adulthood has started reading and has done by that series, but very grateful for it because now I know my book taste as an adult. So yeah, I would say those. Current reading goal. So I originally from this year, like last year I set my goal at 50, no, was it 52 books? I think last year I set my goal at 52 books. I accomplished it. And then I think I read 120 books last year. This year I also was like, oh, I'm gonna set my goal for 52 books. It's currently May 25th. I've read 76. So I've reset my goal to 100, but I think by the end of this year, if I keep reading at the pace that I'm reading now, it'll be like 150 books or something crazy. Which by the way, people keep like I keep seeing these things on like TikTok and whatever, and people are like, "Oh my goodness, that's so many books." It's like if you spend more time reading than scrolling on your phone, you would be shocked at the amount of books that you'd read. Like genuinely, most people spend about 6 hours on social media a day that I know, and like if you put that into a book and you read at a pace of like 60 pages per hour, 100 pages per hour, that's like a 300 to 600 page book you've just read in a day. Just saying. Anyway, currently reading. So I I'm one of those people. I cannot read one book at one time. No. I have a multitude. I have a multitude of books because I am indecisive to my core. So I have books for multiple reasons. I would say, so I have The Dragon Republic staring at me right now from the Poppy War series. So I have that from my library. So that'll be like book 1. Book 2 is Love Unwritten by Lauren Asher, which is from the Lakefront Billionaire series. So that's on my Kindle, book 2. Book 3 is Wuthering Heights, which I'm reading, but I'm also annotating like I would do if I did English literature. Like comparing themes and parallels and like really get invested in like Victorian history and discovering why Emily Bronte wrote the way she wrote. So that's book 3, I guess. Book 4, I'm reading I think it's the Clash of Kings, which is the second book in the Game of Thrones series. And then I'm not listening to an audiobook right now, but that will probably change. I have some reserved. I have Blue, Lily, Blue from the Raven cycle. I have that reserved. I'm going to start my reread of A Court of Thorns and Roses soon. So, because the 6th book is coming out in October. So, all of those will be probably on Libby. My current anticipated releases are the second book in the Eternal Path series, like trilogy, which is The Fox and the Winter. I think that's releasing in 2027. Although I haven't read Heartstopper 5, Volume 5, or any other Alex Osmond's books other than the Heartstopper series. Like, I haven't read the novellas in terms of like This Winter or Solitude or Nick and Charlie or whatever. I'm very excited for Volume 6. Like, really, really excited. That comes out in July, I think. So that'll be interesting. I will cry because that series got me through like 2022. The DC Stars series, it's like an intertwined hockey romance found family vibe, and the 6th book is coming out in November, which I think is called Crosscheck, and I don't actually know when the 7th book is coming out. Maybe February next year. So those will be good. So that's a couple of my anticipated releases. Favorite classic. It's not technically a classic, but it is to me. I would say Winnie the Pooh. Like, it's not a classic, but it should be. Like, realistically. Yeah. But if that's not an option, I would say currently Fahrenheit 451. I read that not that long ago. Maybe 4 months ago. Great book. 10 out of 10. More people should read it. Destroyed me emotionally. Tuesdays with Maury. I started crying about 25% of the book in. I did not stop crying. 5 stars. All-time favorite books. I have like rapid fire questions. I don't do enough. I should do enough. In fairness, I have recently DNF'd a series that I read in like 2020. Well, no, I read the first book in like 2022. Which was The Ritual. I remember hating it. The series was on my TBR for a hot minute, and then I opened it like last week and I was like, no, I can't do it. So that series is dead to me. What kind of reader are you? I read mostly at night, although if I'm doing something during the day, I will have an audiobook usually on. So I'm kind of like a mixture in saying that I will read through the day if I have time and or if I'm not doing anything, but the majority of my reading gets done past like 9 p.m. Books per month. I read on average about a book every 2 days. Like, I think I've read 15 books per month so far, and I still have 5 days left, so I'll probably get another 2-ish in. So yeah, I'm just a fast reader. My last 5 stars was Sad Girl Hours, which I picked up in the library. More people should get library cards. So go to your libraries, make sure they get funded. Sad Girl Hours basically follows 2 girls that met each other in, I think it's Lancaster in England. They both go to university down there. They're from different areas of England though itself. I think one of them's from like the north and one of them's from the south of England. And Nell, she writes poetry, and she has this like project for her class about writing poetry. And to accomplish this, her and Saffron make a list of things that they want to do in autumn. Nell's like autistic, Saffron has seasonal depression, but she hasn't told anyone. And it's just kind of following them through this period of life and seeing them blossom. It's gorgeous. It's a great book. I highly recommend. It's like very much for the fans of like Heartstopper and like Red, White, and Royal Blue, and yeah, it's great. Biggest book pet peeve. I'm gonna have to actually like think about this. I kind of hate love bombing. I like when people know their intentions, like, oh, you know I like you, but it's not like marry me, marry me, marry me. Not a big fan of the pregnancy trope either. I think it's sometimes done beautifully. Sometimes it's just icky. It's just icky to the story. It doesn't add any value. I wouldn't say that's like controversial or everything. I would say most people would actually agree with me. Maybe. Book or movie first? I've always been a book first person. However, recently I'm a movie first person. I've watched, like, I'm trying to think back. Like, I've watched Project Mary before I read the book. The book hasn't even arrived to my house yet. I've watched the first Lord of the Rings movie without reading the book. I've watched the entire Game of Thrones TV series without reading any of the books. I'm just catching up now. I've watched Little Women without reading the book, and then I read it after. So I think both are acceptable answers, but I think sometimes watching the movie gives me a better imagery of what the book actually is in terms of like the characters and their personalities and the area, but it has to be done right. So it kind of depends. Specifically from romance adaptations, I always read the book first. The Off Campus series that's recently come out, I read the books. Well, no, I didn't read all of the books. I read 2 of the books, and I've read the first 2, and I haven't read the rest of them. But trust, when season 2 comes out, I will have read all of them. I think like people we meet on vacation. I read the book before I watched the movie, so I think it's very like important to read books first in like romance, like genres of like books and movies. Okay. Um, fictional character most like me. I would say I'm most like Beth from Little Women, Piglet from Winnie the Pooh. Like, I would describe myself as like Beth. I would describe myself as Beth. She just reminds me of who I have grown into and grown up with, and like although she is like quiet and timid, she's also really brave in her outlook on life, and I think that's a beautiful thing to have. Underrated book rack. I would say, see, I'm such a popular book reader, like I am. It's bad. I need to like expand on my genre. Um, I would say Sad Girl of Ours. I would say Dream on Ramona Riley is a pretty good one. It's about 2 queer girls in this little town. Yeah, it's a romance. Live, laugh, love it. I really need to expand upon reading more than just what's recommended to me on YouTube or TikTok or whatever. Like I find it hard because I love to know what people's opinions are, but I also therefore never really figure out what I like by myself, because people always are telling me you should buy this or you should read this, and I'm like, ooh, I should read that. It's like, okay, realistically, what would happen if I took away all of my social media? What would my book taste be? I don't know. I'd love to find out though. Hyped book I didn't like. This is a good one. There's quite a lot of books that I didn't like. Didn't like Icebreaker. As I am growing up, I've realized I don't think I'm the target audience anymore. So, like, I've read some of Rita Kent's books, and they were good, but they were like icky to me. And that's not to say she's not a great author, that's just a preference that I am unfortunately realizing more and more um as I'm reading. So yeah, book that I'm gatekeeping. See, again, this is really hard because I'm such a popular reader. And this is a problem. I need to like grow up and get my own opinions. Um oh, actually no, I read The Traveling Cat Chronicles, made me sob. Highly recommend, and I don't think too many people have read that. I also like reading arcs from like Net Gallery and stuff. Um so this might not be necessarily like a gatekeeping kind of book, but I read Cindy's book. She's a pretty famous YouTuber on booktok, and it was really good. Like The Secret Life of Rose was really good, and I really liked it. What's my most controversial book opinion? We are all reading the same thing, and why? Like, it's so, I think social media has messed up. I think that is probably my most controversial one. I think social media has messed up the joys of literature in so many aspects, in terms of like, and I am part of the problem. Like, I am part of the problem in terms of overconsumption. Like last year, who was it? Last year, Ali Hazelwood or someone released like 5 different books in 1 year. Girl, take a break, slow down. Like, they can wait. It's fine. I just miss when books took time and they weren't all the same thing. Because I read oh, I know the book I didn't like. Silver Elite. I read Silver Elite. I hated it because it was literally, to me, divergent. It was literally divergent. So yeah, I would think that social media has kind of ruined our perception of books. Everyone is reading the same thing, and those that aren't reading the same thing are, I don't know, expanding, and I want to be more like them, because it's it's not fun. It's not fun to read the same things. It's, I want to get new book recommendations. I don't want everyone to be reading the same thing, but at the same time, I get FOMO, you know. So yeah, I think social media has ruined our perception in literature. I think books now are very dumbed down, and they shouldn't be. Like, they should be able to challenge you in all aspects, in all genres. They should always be able to challenge you and your morals and like what you think is right. And I think quite a lot of these are copy and pastes of each other. And no, no. So yeah, that's my rapid fire introduction. Um, I say rapid fire. It was not rapid fire. Um, but yeah, I hope you really liked this, and I will see you next time. Yeah. So peace, love, bye.